If you've been trying to hear your spirit guides, but nothing seems to happen, well, this might surprise you. See, most people think that spirit guides communicate with words, but they don't. They communicate through feeling. And chances are you've already felt your spirit guides, you just didn't realize it. And in a moment, I'm going to show you three things. First, the most common physical sensations that spirit guides use to get your attention. Second, why so many people experience these signs but just dismiss them as random or coincidence. And third, how to start recognizing your spirit guides with a live exercise without forcing anything or doubting yourself. So you probably want to stick around for that one. And you see, this matters more than most people realize. When you understand how spirit guides actually communicate, guidance stops feeling random and starts feeling familiar. But if you don't understand this, it's easy to just keep dismissing real connection as imagination, and you keep on wondering why clarity never sticks. And that's what we're going to clear up right now. So here's where most people get this wrong, and it's not your fault. Most people think spirit guides communicate through words. They're waiting to hear something, maybe a voice or a sentence or a message of some kind. And when that doesn't happen, they assume nothing's working. But spirit guides don't usually start with words. They start with the body. Before a message becomes a thought, it actually shows up as a sensation, a feeling, a very subtle shift in your energy or awareness that passes so quickly, you almost talk yourself out of it. That warmth in your chest, that calm that just drops in for no clear reason, that subtle pressure or tingling that makes you pause and think, whoa, what was that? See, most people feel those things and then they immediately label them as random or imagination or coincidence or nothing at all. But those moments, that's often the first language that spirit guides use. So the first sensation is one that most people don't associate with spirit guides at all. It's a sudden warmth or expansion in the chest, almost like your heart softens or opens up for a moment. It doesn't come with a message, doesn't come with a thought. It just shows up, poof, and then it's gone. Now, a lot of people feel this when they're thinking about someone they love, during a quiet moment, or even when they're not thinking about anything in particular. Now, as you hear this, note if something inside you is saying, yeah, that's happened before. And because it feels gentle, because it doesn't demand attention, the mind immediately says, that was nothing. But that warmth, that's often how spirit guides let you know they're close. So the second sensation is even easier to miss. It's a sudden calm that just drops in for no obvious reason. Nothing in your life just changed, no problem was solved, but all of a sudden, everything inside you just gets quiet. And a lot of people experience this during stress or right after an emotional moment. And they assume that it's just their nervous system settling down. But very often, that calm is guidance. It's spirit guides stepping in to steady you before your mind takes over again. And here's why these sensations are actually so easy to dismiss. See, your conscious mind is trained to stay in control. It's conditioned by your environment, by social norms, by logic, and by survival. See, its job is to analyze, label, and explain, not to notice subtle feelings. So when something gentle shows up, maybe a warmth, a calm, a quiet knowing, the mind immediately steps in and says, that was random. Or maybe you think, that was just me. Or that didn't really mean anything at all. Maybe it was a coincidence. But most people never hear this explained, which is why they end up doubting experiences that were actually real. But spirit guides don't compete with the mind. They don't shout over it. They communicate underneath it. And the louder the mind is, the easier it is to miss what's subtle. Not because you're blocked, but because you were never taught what to pay attention to or listen for. Another common sensation shows up as tingling or light energy, often in the hands or the arms. It can feel like gentle buzzing, or warmth, or almost like your hands are waking up. See, I often feel this tingling or bubbly energy around my upper arms. It's kind of feeling like, someone's placing their hands on my upper arms. Well, maybe they are, but it's just kind of like tingling, bubbly, effervescent feeling I get right up here. And I know my guides are right around. But many people notice this when they're just sitting quietly, thinking about spirit, or maybe when they're not even trying to connect at all. And because it feels physical, the mind just explains it away. They think, circulation, or it's my nerves, or it's a temperature change, and that's causing the goosebumps that I'm feeling. But very often, that energy is spirit guides getting your attention through the body, because the body listens far before the mind ever picks it up. So the fourth way this shows up is subtle pressure, usually around the forehead or the temples or maybe the top of the head. It's not uncomfortable. It's not a headache or anything. It feels more like an awareness gently just resting there. People often notice this during reflection, meditation, or right before an intuitive thought comes in. And because it doesn't fit into a normal category, the mind says, well, that was weird. This moves on. But for many people, this is how spirit guides signal alignment before anything else follows. And one more sensation that people overlook is a sudden emotional lift, a feeling of peace, love, or reassurance without a memory or reason attached to it. Nothing triggered it, nothing reminded you of anything, it just showed up. And because we're trained to link emotions to stories, the mind doesn't know what to do with it. But very often, that emotional lift is spirit guides reminding you that you're supported, even when you don't need to be told why. It just is. So if you've recognized even one of these sensations, doesn't mean you imagined it. It actually means you finally noticed it. Now let's do a mini practice to help you better feel your guides. Now you don't need to stop what you're doing for this. Just keep listening. There's no right way to do this. Just notice whatever you notice. As you're listening to my voice, bring a gentle awareness to your body, not to change anything, just to notice. And notice if there's any warmth there. Maybe your chest, your hands, your arms, even slightly. What are you feeling? Are you feeling that energy? You feeling tingling? You feeling a pressure or warmth maybe? Notice if there's any calm or softness underneath. Whatever you're feeling right now, that's okay. Even if your life feels busy, you might feel it. So you're not trying to create a sensation. You're just trying to notice whether one is already there. It can be very subtle. Just let yourself think, what do I feel? So even if you notice something, even just for a second, don't analyze it. Just acknowledge it. Just be aware of it. And if you don't notice anything at all, that's perfectly okay too. Because noticing comes with practice, but not effort. You just got to keep on doing this. See, that kind of noticing without effort is how real connection builds over time. That's why practice makes perfect, right? Spirit guide connection isn't about dramatic experiences. It's about subtle awareness, repeated gently over time. And the reason this starts to feel more clear isn't because spirit suddenly shows up. It's because you stop dismissing what's already been there the whole time. Now, you see that moment earlier you thought was random? That's exactly what we've been talking about. And the more consistently that you notice without forcing, the easier it becomes to trust what you're receiving. Remember the phrase that I'm always teaching: trust and surrender. Allow. As former President Ronald Reagan once said, trust but verify. Here, you don't even need to verify. You just need to allow, surrender, trust. It's not like they're doing anything bad. It's like you're just trying to open up. You got to remove those barriers. So then it all starts to feel familiar. And that's kind of the goal here. Now, if you want help building this kind of awareness consistently, I've put together a free Spirit Guide Connection Starter Kit. It gives you simple daily practices that you can use while living your life. So you can start recognizing your spirit guides without overthinking or doubting yourself all the time. And you'll find the link in the description or in the show notes. It's right below. Once you realize you've been feeling your spirit guides, now a new question comes up almost immediately. And everybody asks this: how can I tell the difference between real guidance from spirit and my own thoughts or my imagination? Very common. And you see, that uncertainty is where most people start doubting themselves again. And that's why I created the episode titled 15 Ways to Know a Spirit, Not Your Imagination. And you see, in that episode, I'll show you how to clearly tell when guidance is coming from spirit and when it's just the mind filling in the gaps. So you can begin to trust what you're receiving without second guessing yourself. So you might want to go listen to that episode right now. That's really going to help you and remove that doubt. So keep raising your vibration. Thanks for listening. Love and light. This is Chris.